Don't want to pay hella for a 60% keyboard like the Huntsman Mini? No problem, I got just the thing for you. At a lower cost, I can even go wireless. Transparency's sake, this item was sent to me by Banggood.com, but that's not gonna affect my review in any way, shape, or form. I ain't getting paid nothing. On the bright side, they did leave me a link with like a discount code, which I will leave in the description. That said, back to the review. So the keyboard we have at hand is the Kudge RK61, a Bluetooth-capable 60% keyboard that comes in either black or white, with the choices of red, brown, or blue switches, all of which are lit with RGB. I went with the black version that uses the tactile brown switches. That said, taking a look inside, we're going to get, of course, the keyboard, a standard keycap puller, a 69-inch USB-A to USB-C cable, a manual, and company info card. Taking a look at the keyboard, it is a very simple 60% keyboard that's mostly made of plastic with ABS double-shot plastic keycaps, with secondary functions also printed on front, a white metal top plate for better RGB diffusion, and a very simple plastic casing with the little Kudge logo on the bottom right corner, and beveled edges all around the keyboard, and a USB-C port on the middle of the backside. On the bottom are 4 rubber feet with no height adjustment, 4 screws to hold it together, as well as an on-off switch to activate the wireless Bluetooth mode. The tactile brown switches we have seem to be their own RK branded switches, which are lightly tactile and use a transparent housing to diffuse RGB lighting. This board in particular uses SMD LED lights, which means the LEDs will be on the PCB itself, which usually implies that the LEDs won't be as vibrant, but they seem vibrant enough here. Being a Bluetooth capable keyboard, you don't have to have it plugged in, you just gotta flip the switch and it'll be on. Options for RGB colorations are already baked onto the board, which you can cycle through with secondary functions. And if you're worried about the battery life of it due to the LEDs, the board will turn them off after a minute of inactivity. After 5 minutes, it'll go into a standby mode, and after 10 minutes, it'll go to sleep, so you don't have to worry about battery drainage throughout the night in case you didn't turn off your keyboard. The battery itself lasts about 10 hours of continuous usage and about 360 hours when on standby. The battery estimates seem to be pretty good, as I've been using the keyboard for several days and I haven't charged it at all. And honestly, I don't think too many of you guys should be worried about that, considering that most of you will probably be using it wired and wireless only occasionally. Speaking of wireless, it can connect to up to 3 different devices via Bluetooth. You can switch devices quickly by holding FN and pressing Q, W, or E, the 3 of which are marked with 1, 2, 3 so you know which is which. To pair, all you gotta do is hold FN in one of the letters until it starts flashing, and then you just gotta pair. You can use the wireless functionality of this keyboard on all platforms, from your PC to Android devices to your Mac OS devices, your iOS devices, and even your iPad OS devices, making this a very versatile keyboard to have. The wireless range of the board is about 10 meters, and more latency is expected the further away you go, but it should be good enough for almost all uses except maybe intense couch gaming. Because I know some of you are going to try it, I decided to use this keyboard wirelessly through Bluetooth and game with it. Surprisingly, it was quite fine, and I didn't really notice any latency, but it could be because I'm a filthy casual. Also, my PC is only maybe like 3.5 feet away from my keyboard, which is a distance I would expect most people to have their keyboards away from their PC. That said, I know some of you guys are going to try to push it anyway, so I decided to test the latency 10 feet away from the PC. And surprisingly, while there was a bit of latency, it was surprisingly playable. Definitely too much for a competitive situation, but if you're a casual player, I don't think you would mind it all that much at all. Some of you might not even notice it. Your mileage may also vary depending on what kind of hardware you got packed inside your computer. As for 60% ergonomics, Kudge did the big brain thing of putting the arrow key secondary function in the corner, so you can comfortably use your pinky to hold FN and then use the keys next to it as the arrow cluster, which while you do have to learn, does feel very natural. Unlike on some boards like the Razer Huntsman Mini, where you have to kind of remember where the FN is, and you gotta feel for that little J nub to find the arrow cluster, which makes sense on paper but doesn't feel natural, unlike on the Kudge, where you just kind of have to find the corner and you're good. You can even keep the arrow cluster active by using FN Enter. Now that we got all of that out of the way, here is a sound test. Alright, not bad for a budget Mac, right? But you know me, let's open this up and see what we can do. Cracking open this keyboard is actually pretty easy, since there's only 4 screws you need to remove on the bottom of the keyboard. And once we've got it open, the keyboard case is of course hollow, with a little space being taken up by the battery. The PCB doesn't sit too far above the bottom of the case, allowing the case to not sound too hollow when typing. As for the battery, it is removable, so you can technically give the keyboard a larger battery, or you can take it out just so you can paint the case. For the foam mod, you're not going to have to unplug anything, you can just keep it plugged in when you put it in. But you are going to have to poke 5 holes for the screws as well as the on and off switch. I could technically also lube the stabs, but that requires soldering, which is something most of you guys won't be doing. So I won't be doing that, at least in this video. But anyway, this is how the keyboard's gonna sound once you got foam inside it. Alright, and that's how it sounds with foam in it. It's not bad, it's a slight improvement. Meaning if you're afraid to open up your keyboard and slap foam inside it, that's okay, because at stock it doesn't sound that bad. It's actually pretty good. Now my overall thoughts for this board, I honestly wasn't expecting much, but I'm actually very surprised by what I'm getting. It's a $50 budget mechanical keyboard, but it's providing you quite a lot for its price. Considering it has a pretty decent build, doesn't sound that bad and doesn't feel that bad either at stock. And the fact that it can go wireless and connect to 3 different devices and switch it between them was something I was not expecting that I would use or like that much. Like, this is something I would definitely recommend over a Razer Huntsman Mini because of what it can do. They're built very similarly, but I honestly think this feels more solid. And the fact that they have the FN Aero cluster over here, it just makes more sense. Now I have a strong gut feeling someone's going to ask, how would you compare this to the Ducky 1-2 Mini? Or like, would you recommend the RK61 or the Ducky 1-2 Mini? And my answer for you would be, it really depends. With the Ducky 1-2 Mini, it has a more standardized PCB layout, allowing it to fit into other 60%, cases. So if you wanted to change to like a really nice metal, like 60% case, you can do that. With this guy, it's more proprietary. It has to use this particular case that it comes with because you need access to the on and off switch, of course, and it only uses those 4 screw holes rather than like the other methods where they screw from above. But honestly, I think for most people out there, this keyboard is enough. The Ducky 1-2 Mini is for people who want to take it a step further one day or are thinking about it, but you'd be paying 2 times the cost of this, so that's a lot to bear in mind. So when it comes to functions and features and what you need, this will give you a lot more for way less, and I think this is the main board most people should go to. So if you really like the 60% format, this can be your main board because you can leave this at home as your main keyboard and then later take it with you as your wireless keyboard for your iPad or whatever. Anyway, if you really want this keyboard, I'm gonna leave a link in the description, and Banggood actually decided to put a little discount code, so that's gonna be down there. So I guess that's pretty much all I got for today. Like and subscribe if you liked the video, dislike it if you didn't like it, hit the notification bell just so you know when I'm posting next. Anyway, this has been Technical. I hope this helped, and I'll see you next time.